This wallpaper and its accompanying border are a good representation of what would have been found in a house in this period. And in fact, this is a reproduction of a paper that was hung in a Massachusetts home in the 1790s. To help you visualize what might have been found in this room, this border would have been hung below the cornice in a room, and it has the proportions of the border that we've found the ghost of in this room. We've been looking at whatever evidence we can find of wallpaper specifically here in Portland, and we've found a very interesting body of evidence in a group of trunks that were made here in Portland between 1801 and 1805. And they aren't lined with trunk lining papers, they're actually lined with wallpapers, all of them American in manufacture. This is a trunk from the museum's permanent collection, and as you can see, it's lined with an early 19th century or probably late 18th century wallpaper. This is of particular interest because the trunk has a label telling us it was made here in Portland in 1803. So we know that this wallpaper was physically in the community at that time. Now, we don't know that it was hanging on someone's walls, but it's still nice information, and it relates very directly to a kind of American-made but French-inspired wallpaper that you find in interiors of this period throughout New England.
What we're doing is hanging the wallpapers in the McLellan House. And what makes this project special is that we're trying to recreate the look of 1800 when this house was built, decorated in a fashion that the McLellans would have done for themselves. In order to create a roll of paper to print on in the 19th century, they would take smaller pieces of paper, which they made by hand. It's the only way they could make paper. And they would glue them together with a horizontal seam. And then they took it to the printer, and the printer would print on that paper and then send it out to be hung. So they did a wonderful job in recreating that type of paper in this project. The printing technique also is authentic in that they use distemper inks, which is chalk, binder, and color. And they use the traditional technique of printing with hand-carved wooden blocks. And each block would represent a separate color and a separate part of the pattern. So it would be a repetitive process where they'd print a part of the pattern in one color, let it dry, come back, print the next color, let it dry, print the third color. The grounding, the ground colors are all hand-grounded, hand-brushed. It is, again, a early 19th century look. For some people it can be somewhat jarring because the colors are much brighter than they would anticipate, and they didn't have decorators per se. They didn't coordinate colors, etc. They had a look that they found attractive. And again, part of the education for us is to learn what they thought was fine decoration. The techniques of paper hanging haven't changed tremendously, but it does require some study. It requires you to go back and look at original wallpaper installations, and by that you can tell what techniques were used. Doing whatever written research there is in terms of old manuals, and just talking to old-timers who might have an oral history that they can relate. So it's just, over time, building up knowledge through experience, through study, through observation. And so I find myself at this point now doing work that I really love to do.